Yes. You have tuned in to Renewed Mind Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Cook Hall. Today's podcast is brought to you by Faith versus Fear, Breaking Family Ties, which can be found and available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. This podcast is designed with you in mind to remind you that you can always click that reset button and start all over again. It's never too late to be great. So now I want you to sit back. I want you to relax. I want you to clear your mind. Take in that deep breath. Prepare yourself for change as we listen in on Renewed Mind Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Cook Hall. Let's go. Yes. Welcome to Renew My Revolution podcast, where I am your host, Michelle Cook Hall. As always, it is my honor, it is my pleasure to be able to come and share some tips and some tools with you guys that I know will assist you in becoming a better you. Listen, if my voice sounds a little rough today, please disregard it. For a couple of weeks now, I've had some issues regarding this voice of mine due to the elements. So if you have allergies, you get what I'm saying. You understand that. So be patient with me because I definitely want to come out and share with you today. And I did not want not one more day to go past that I allow this to keep me from you, because we all need to be encouraged sometime. This is Renewed Mind Revolution podcast, and I am your host, Michelle Cook Hall. And on this podcast, we share tips and tools to assist you in becoming a better you. And every now and then, I have the honor and the pleasure of bringing on guests that can share their stories, their testimonies. They can share their inventions. We've had, guests that shared some awesome inventions and teach you too how you can become an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur. So we've been very blessed this year. We are almost done. You guys, can you believe it? We are almost at the end of 2022. So today is October the 12th. If you're listening to this, 2022. And let me tell you, it seems to me that, especially this month so far, it's just been speeding. The end of the year has literally just been speeding through for me. So I'm just glad that we're able to still do what we do, which is what we love to do. Okay, so today I wanted to talk to you about hitting a brick wall. Okay, it's metaphorically speaking, hitting a brick wall. And so what we're going to do is go on this healing journey. This is what I just, kind of thought of just as literally before I got on this podcast, to use the phrase healing journey, this healing journey. So we're going to go on this healing journey today together. Okay, this is a team effort today. So if this is your first time listening to Renewed Mind Revolution podcast, let me welcome you. Let me please tell you to share. Someone needs to hear this message. Please let me tell you to support this podcast. Please let me tell you to consider checking out the books that a lot of the material from this podcast come from, which is Breaking Family Ties and Faith versus Fear, available on Amazon.com as well as Barnes & Noble. Now we got that out the way. This podcast is truly designed for you in mind. If you have taken the time to listen to it today, it's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. It's literally for you to hear this today. So let's go on this healing journey together. I believe that together we can get a lot more done. A lot of times we want to isolate ourselves. We want to go into privacy and deal with things, but sometimes we need support, right? We need help. We need someone to say, I get it. We need someone to say, I understand. I've been there. And that's what this podcast is all about. Just reminding you that number one, you're not alone. And number two, there is help. And that we together can go on this healing journey and become a better version of ourselves. So today, as I roll along, I want to talk about hitting this brick wall. Okay, metaphorically hitting this brick wall. This brick wall can literally be anything in your life that stops you from progression. Hear me again. This brick wall can be anything that stops you from progression. Sometimes it's our own hang-ups, our own selves, okay? Our own selves, not necessarily people, places, or things, but sometimes it's not necessarily even our trauma, okay? Sometimes it's just us, okay? So that's what we're talking today about. Let's go on this healing journey together, because there's some healing that needs to take place. There is some healing that needs to take place. Now, everybody at some point in your life, at some point, you might not want to admit it, but some point in your life, if you found yourself in a place where you like, this is not where I want to be. I need to stop this behavior, or I need to stop this from happening, or I need to stop repeating this or allowing this repetitive behavior to be done to me, towards me, or around me. I mean, at some point in your life, it's something that literally you have told yourself, you know what, this is not healthy. This is not good, right? And so this is what we're talking about. Those moments where you have said to yourself, this is not good. This is not healthy. Sometimes it is us. Sometimes it's not us. Sometimes it is other outside influences. Sometimes it is trauma. But there are moments definitely that it is us. And we are the cause of these things because we have chosen not to get to the root of the issue, not to face it, not to address it, and not to be honest with ourselves. So we're talking about getting to a place in your life when you realize, hey, there's something else. There is more to it. I want to change. I want to get better. I want to be better. I got this goal. I got this dream. I got this idea. I want to stop this behavior. I want to stop this toxic relationships. I mean, there are things that you have said, but then you hit this brick wall, which means wherever you're trying to get to, there's this brick wall. So how do we get past this brick wall? How do you get past? Because a lot of times we can talk about things, right? We can share the issues, but we struggle with the healing of these issues. We struggle when it comes to the healing part of these. All day I can tell you, well, this is the problem, this is the problem, this is my issues, these are my concerns, these are my frustrations, these are my hang-ups, right? But when it comes to the healing part of all of the listed above, here comes the struggle. And that struggle is what I consider the brick wall. You're going, and you feel as if, okay, I can do this. This is great. I'm trying. Then boom, there's a pause. There's a stop. And sometimes that stop and that pause and that brick wall is so damaging and so significant that it literally can make you feel like you're going 20 steps backwards. You are literally becoming going to step one. You're literally going, in the wrong direction. And let me just say, from a healing perspective, okay, from a therapeutic perspective also, that this can be so devastating because, when you feel like you made progress, when you feel like you're trying to make the change, you're trying to improve, you're trying to become a better version of yourself, you're trying to let go of toxic relationships, you're trying to let go of bad behavior, you're trying to develop this idea and all these great things, then something comes up that pauses everything, or what the older people used to say, stop in your tracks, right? That can be so devastating. It pushes you, it makes you feel as if you have been pushed back instead of, you're not even at the same place that you were. You feel like you've lost the progression. You feel like you've lost the progress. And that can be absolutely devastating. So let's bring that out in the open. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about this feeling. Because you know how I feel about feelings. But let's talk about this feeling that you have been pushed back. One of the most amazing things for me, and I don't mean amazing like, a great amazing, but just it blows my mind. It literally really, stumps me that we can do so many positive things, have so many positive experiences, so many productive moments. And it can take one tragic moment, one bad fall, one stubborn moment in your life that can literally unravel you, that can literally undo all of the productive things that you've done, can literally undo all of the work, all of the positivity, if it's given a chance, if it's fed, if it's bred. It can definitely do that. And that always blows my mind, because it's just like how the brain works, right? It just literally recreates a whole nother scenario for you. And that negative scenario is so much more easier to embrace than that positive scenarios. Hear me clearly. You have all these positive scenarios. I mean, you've overcome this. You've done this. You've accomplished that. You've made a way. You've made so much progress, right? And then it takes this one moment that literally minimizes all of your progress, all of your production. It just literally does that, and that literally blows my mind. So sometimes, because of the way our mind works, the way that we think, the way that we process scenarios and trauma, that brick wall can literally push us back so far. Now, this might not be the podcast for you today. Maybe you're saying yourself, I have no idea what you're talking about. I never had that moment. I don't get it. And I understand that. I respect that. I find that hard to believe, but I respect that. But listen anyway today, because later on down the line in life, it's so amazing to me. In life, there might be a moment that, you will feel that. It might not last for, a long period of time, but you might have that moment where it can try to sneak in and unravel, undo all of the progression that you've made. And maybe this podcast will come back to your memory. And maybe you would say, I remember Michelle saying, don't feed into this. Don't do that. Because if I feed this moment, it can grow into something way bigger than what I need it to be, what I can handle, and what I should make it. Okay. And this is from a place of experience. I remember sharing with someone. I'm not sure if I shared it with you guys before, but I remember sharing with someone that I care about. I knew, kind of felt and seen it coming, that they can go into a dark place. And I remember sharing with them, listen, when this happens, when you start feeling these emotions that you've never felt before, when you start feeling this pain and this hurt and this grief and all these things, I want you to disregard some of that. Like, don't feed it. Feel it, and feel it. Don't I'm not saying don't feel your grief, don't feel the pain. Feel it, but do not allow it to change you for the worse. Like, I need you to process it in a healthy way. I need you to recognize what it could do to you. I need you to understand how uh, challenging it would be for you if you do not process this the correct way. If you do not handle your pain, your grief, your sadness, your affliction in a healthy way, how much more damage it can do for you. And I remember sharing this with them in other word in a different form of words, of course, but sharing this with them because I could talk to them way more frank than I can share with you guys. But I remember me being so adamant about this, and they did not take heed to what I said and had a very difficult time and came back and said, I remember what you said. You warned me. And because you can, some things you could just see. If the, what I call the perfect storm, if it has all the right elements, right? And the perfect timing of this, it can definitely happen. So that's why I say to you guys that, if you're not experiencing certain things right now, that is great, awesome, praise the Lord. But put it in your memory deck. Like, recall this when you need it, because there will be and can be a moment where you will be in life and you will be just like, just what the young people would say. I hate to say young people because I'm not old, but you get what I'm saying. You're just, killing it. You just taking care of everything. You're like, being a boss, right? I'm using all these, making me seem really old, but you're really uh making advances in life, right? And you're making good choices and you're reaping the benefits of your good choices, right? And you're really proud of where you are right now and everything seems to be lining up, then boom, that brick wall comes. Something just happens. And this brick wall keeps you from the other side of your progression. It keeps you from, continuing to move forward, right? And depending on how you handle that, depending on how you face that, depending on how you address that, depending on how you look at that, that will determine what happens. That determines that one pivotal moment, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to me very clearly. That one pivotal moment determines what happens with you. You can embrace and decide, this is so overwhelming, this is too much, and I can't. And you can just throw all these things into the atmosphere, all these words that have power, saying that you're tired and you're overwhelmed and it's too much and I can't handle it and I'm breaking down and I'm not going to make it and I can't take it. And you can say all these words that have power, because we know that life and death lies in the tongue, which means you have the ability to change things around, not only with your thinking, but with your words. So you can take that moment and say, I can't make it, I can't take it, and profess that, right? And see the manifestation of what you spoke. Or you could take that moment, because we're not perfect. We're not many gods walking around here, right? We're human. So you can stumble. It can happen where you're not, take the wind out of you. Life can take the wind out of you. A good punch, something you wasn't expecting, something you just never thought could happen, comes and takes the wind out of you. It can happen, right? And especially these days. You see that every day. Every day. People are literally experiencing some of the worst moments of their lives. They are experiencing some of the hardest times of their life, right? So we can understand that there will be and can be moments that will literally knock your breath out of you. But how do you handle that? How do you address that? What do you want? That's the question. What do you want? What do you want? Do you want to forfeit all of your work, all of your progress, all of your goals, all of your dreams? Do you want to just give up? Do you want to just give up? Do you want to lose your progress? Do you want to be stagnant? Because that is very easy to do. It's easy to get into a place where you just not moving at all. You're not going backwards. You're not going forward. You're just not moving at all. You literally have checked out and just decide, I'm not doing anything. I'm tired. I'm overwhelmed. I'm worn out. Life doesn't make sense anymore. Life is too hard. Life is too difficult. I don't get it. I don't understand. And lately, what we hear a lot of, especially from a lot of young people, is this total disregard for life itself, because what we are experiencing as a community, as a world, right? As the world, so many changes, so many things that we've never seen before, heard before, so many diseases, so many deaths, so much crime. I mean, there's so much to process, right? And the younger generation have the access to everything that is happening in our world via internet. So they literally know before anybody, before you would know, if you're not always on the internet, who has died, what new disease, what new threat it is to our world, wars, or just different people saying different prophecies, this is going to happen, that's going to, and so then they start to feel like, what's the point? What am I doing? What's the point? I am 16, I'm 17 years old, and I'm kind of seeing the world in a way that makes me feel like, what's the point? Let's be real today. Let's talk. Come on, you guys, let's talk. They are thinking, and you probably are thinking the same thing. As an adult, an experienced adult who have been in this world for many, many, many years, have seen a lot of things, but never seen this. And it can become extremely overwhelmed. And that's why we're seeing, the high numbers of people who are experiencing anxiety and who are experiencing depression. I remember not too long ago, I just saw a news clip talking about when is the appropriate age now to test children for anxiety, because they're seeing, I guess, a change in the age group. They're seeing more young people begin to experience this. I already shared with you guys before. If you haven't heard it before, go back and listen to some of my other podcasts, about younger kids now who are in school having support animals with them because they suffer from anxiety and all these different other mental health challenges. Like saying mental health illnesses, mental health challenges. And so we're living in a different society. We're living in a different world. Okay, and so these younger kids, we're talking 10, 11, 12, are facing brick walls. It's not just the 40, 50-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, 60-year-olds. We're talking about babies who are experiencing brick walls. Nothing makes sense to them. And so because of that, they have this nonchalant attitude about it. What's the point? What's the point? Some of them will tell you, and I've seen this a lot on TikTok, where they talk about not caring about being born. I didn't ask to be here. When we were coming up, saying that was just something you just don't say, because it's as if you are ungrateful for your life. And we value life. You can have a hard life and even have a hard upbringing, but just the ability to know that you have life and you have an opportunity to make good choices and change your life, and thank God that you have it, right? You're just grateful to be here. But you hear like the younger generation literally are just like, nobody asked to be here. This is too much. This is, what's the big deal? And that's scary. But that's where they have been conditioned. Okay? Because it's been so much going on. So it's almost like their protective, shield of not feeling, right? So that's this brick wall. A lot of, and I don't want to generalize, but it's very hard for a person to see a future when they have literally been conditioned to see nothing but death, dread, gloom, and hopelessness. I spoke about hopelessness before. You definitely should listen to that podcast because it is very dangerous when you have a society of individuals who are hopeless. Okay, that's dangerous. That is so dangerous. And that frightens me, when I hear people speak in a way that they are hopeless. Okay? And so once again, we're talking about this brick wall. This brick wall. And for a younger person, older person, it doesn't matter. They can definitely have that be a brick wall where they just don't see a future. They don't see it. They've been paused. They stopped. They're not participating. So they're living a life as if someone who's just not participating. They're living very frivolous. They're living life with no boundaries, right? But not in a good no boundaries. They're living life where they will literally cross your line, and everybody else's line, and they don't care because they are hopeless. Okay, they have taken this position of hopelessness. So I can go on and on about that because it's so prevalent for today, and it's so scary for today to see people who are literally living this hopeless lifestyle. They don't care. We're seeing 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds carjacking adults, shooting at adults, stealing from adults, can I just say this? Look, walking into stores, right? Literally taking things off the shelf in the middle of the day, bold, and walking straight out. Just bold. Literally just walking in there. You're in there shopping. You're in there, making a transaction. This is this lawless society, right? They just walk in, take whatever they want, walk out. This is the hopelessness I'm talking about, okay? And once again, this is a wall. This is a brick wall. See, there's so many facets. There's so many types of brick walls. But we're talking about whatever it is that's keeping you from progressing. Now, this behavior that I'm talking about, believe it or not, it is a behavior that stems from pain, hurt, stems from feeling neglected, feeling mistreated, feeling abandoned. I mean, there's a lot that goes on to get to this type of personality, to get to this place in life. And so we need to, as in a society, address these issues. We need to address the major issues. So you as an individual may have a brick wall that is hopeless as well, but you're just not doing that, right? But mind you, a lot of younger people are not able to quite process things the way an adult can process things. So their brick wall of being mistreated, neglected, hurt, scared to death of a future that they don't see. They're living as if they're in a video game, that there's no consequences to their actions and they do not care. This is what they're feeding themselves on a regular basis, right? And so they respond to that. Their behavior is attached to what they fed themselves. And we talk about this all the time on Renewed Mind Revolution podcast. We talk about this all the time. Whatever you feed yourself, how many times have I said this? Whatever you feed yourself, this is what you're going to put out. Because all we're doing is condition ourselves, right? So when someone is getting ready for a boxing match and they have an opponent in mind, they're going to review the tapes of that opponent with other fighters, right? And they're going to watch it over and over and over again to learn the technique of that fighter. They're going to condition themselves in that way so that they're able to prepare themselves to go against this opponent. So the thing is, what they've done is study it. And the more they studied it, the more they are taking in, right? They're literally being changed. They're literally changing the way that they fight. They're literally changing the way that they approach, all because of this particular fighter. They have to adjust, right? Because they've taken it all in, they studied it. So it's the same thing. Whatever you are feeding yourselves, whatever you are giving yourselves, whatever you are studying, you're going to begin to adjust yourselves accordingly. Come on, somebody. You're going to adjust yourselves accordingly. So if you just giving yourself negativity, if you're just giving yourself hopelessness, if you're just giving yourself a bunch of fear, a bunch of I cannot, I don't understand, I will, and I'm not saying this like it's easy. I always say that because I get it. I am never going to be that person who comes to you and make it seem like this is just a walk in the park. It's just it's fine because I know there's a battle going on. I get it. I get that. The spirit the spirit may be willing, but the flesh is weak. I get that, or it may be that it could be a physical condition, right? Your spirit is strong and ready to handle and tackle, but then you have physical things that keep you from making this progression. So it's so many walls that come up because you could be like individuals say, I'm ready to go, and you make these plans for your life to make good choices, make good decisions, and then you start to feel sick, go to the doctor, and the doctor says to you this horrible news, and you're like, I just started my business, I just started to go back to school, I just got married and getting ready to start my family. I mean, there's so many things that could be in the form of a brick wall. But the sum of all of this is how we approach it, how we handle that determines everything. I personally have reflected on this for myself and realized there were choices that I wish I would have made differently because the outcome of me making the wrong decisions definitely changed the course of my life, and it made things way more difficult for me than what I would have wanted, that I would have preferred. And some things are just not worth it. It is better to handle things in a more healthier way, for the long run. So that's why we're talking about that today. Because we don't want to become a society that is hopeless. And I get it. 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 And I was just talking to my son the other day, and I was saying, yeah, because he was telling me about someone who was suffering from mental health issues, a celebrity, and he was saying, how they were speaking about in this society, if you don't have certain challenges regarding, mental health, it's very surprising because of just looking at the weekly daily news alone can become quite depressing. And so that's why at one point I remember telling you guys to pull away from some of that news because I know that. I believe that. I believe that because I know that's all I'm feeding myself. If that's all that you're feeding yourself, it can definitely affect you. It can definitely affect you. And so it's important sometimes to pull back, take some me time, relax, not overwhelm yourself with, everything that's happening everywhere in the entire world. I mean, everything. It's so much going on. Does that make you a person who is in denial? No. Does that make you a person who is refusing to pay attention to what's going on in the world? Does that mean that you are, not being aware? No, none of that. It just means that you're doing what's best for you at that particular time. So if you feel as if this is too much, I'm feeling overwhelmed, take some you time and do what you like to do that will help you get to a better place. Whatever it is, nobody is the same. Some people, they're outgoing and they like to go out and movies and dinner and dancing and whatever, go vacationing, whatever it takes. Go to the spa. Then there's people who just like to curl up on the couch with their favorite blanket and their book. So whatever it is that you like to do, there is no perfect way for everybody across the lines to do the same thing. No, it's whatever you do that make you comfortable. That's what you should do, and begin to reevaluate. If you have found yourself in a place where you did experience, pain, hurt, trauma, a brick wall, and you did not handle it a proper way, okay? Say that is you, and you didn't. And because of that, you have literally been in this horrible roller coaster of life for a while, like a good while. And you're saying to yourself, okay, I didn't handle it right. And I'm hearing you now. What do I do from here? Well, the first thing is, it's awesome that you recognize that. It's awesome that you have listened to this podcast and you realize that I made choices that put me in the ladder. It put me in a position that I don't want to be in. So the recognition of it is the first step. And then the second step is to begin a healing process, because we're on this healing journey together. So the first thing you want to do is start to, get to the core of that moment, right? Recognize your feelings of what happened to you during that moment. Begin to be honest with yourself about that moment or moments. Be honest. Yes, it hurt. Yes, it was painful. Begin to speak positive. No more negative. No more. It takes time. It takes time. But you took a long time telling yourself what you couldn't do, what you couldn't handle. You took a long time doing that. You spent a good amount of time reminding yourself your inadequacies, right? You did that for a long time. So this is the time that we want to switch that. We want to say, yes, I can handle it. Yes, I can do this. Yes, I can recover. Yes, I can be restored. Yes, I can be delivered. Yes, I can break this generational curse. Yes, I can be what I am called to be. Yes, I can do these things. Yes, I can come out of debt. Yes, I can change my life and turn my life around. Yes, I can be a lender and not just a borrower. Yes, I can start this business. Yes, I will find resources. Yes, I will find great connections. Yes, the money will come to me. Yes, I will be drawn to the money that I need for this project. Begin to speak positive. Like you're saying, words are nothing. That's a lie. We've already established how powerful words can be, as well as our thinking. We already know this is so true. This is so true. Because of your thinking and because of your words, you find yourself in a depressive hole. So now we have to work double time, overtime, to undo and unravel the negativity. You unravel the positivity. So now let's unravel the negativity. Let's begin to push that aside and begin to recreate more positive experiences. Create more positive patterns in your life. Can you do it? Yes, you can. Absolutely. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Absolutely. It's just going to take work. It's going to take double time work. And guess what, you guys? I'm here for it. And I'm here with you. And I'm going to coach you through it. As I encourage you, I encourage myself. So I absolutely love what I do. You guys remind me on a regular basis how to be held accountable for the words that leave out of my mouth. So I know that what I share with you, I must also apply to my own self. And that's what I need. We all need to be encouraged. We all need to be reminded how important we are. We all need to be reminded that our life matters and that we're not here by mistake. But it's in God's great design that we are here. So I want you today to begin your journey. Begin your journey of the healing process, of facing that brick wall and begin to see that wall come down. I mean, break it down. If it has to come brick by brick or if it just explodes, it does not matter. As long as it begins to lose its strength, that's what we need today. And I know that you can do this. Begin to speak over your life. Begin to encourage yourself. You guys know that one of my favorite people in the Bible is David. And that's because David was such an encourager. He learned how important it was to encourage yourself. If we wait around and wait for others to validate us, then we will get nowhere. Sometimes we must be positioned to encourage ourselves when there's no one else around. When we are left to ourselves, when we are left with our own pain and our own thoughts, we must learn to encourage ourselves. We are made to do that. We are equipped to do that. And David did that. So if David can do it, so can we. So today I want you to start that journey of encouraging yourself. Change your I cannot to I can. Change your it will never happen to it will happen. And watch things change for you. You guys, it has been my honor and pleasure as always to come and share tips and tools with you here on Renew Mind Revolution podcast. We are ending this podcast on a good note. On a positive note, a note of yes, we can and yes, we will. I look forward to hearing your testimonies. I look forward to hearing your stories of taking this challenge with me and overcoming the things that have tried to keep you down for so very long. As it begins to lose its power, as it begins to lose its stability, as it begins to come down, you will begin to see the change in your life. God bless you guys. Have an outstanding day. Remember, I love you, but most importantly, God loves you more. God bless.